but I don't regret coming forward and speaking the truth, because I'm responsible for every person that came after me, and I'm glad that now I've put a stop to that. And I want my daughter to know that she should always have control and agency of her voice and her body, and she shouldn't do what I did and freeze up. I want her to be able to be proud of me.
Stormy Daniels, the woman at the centre of Donald Trump's historic criminal trial, has said that Melania should leave the former president because he is abusive and a convicted felon.
Well, Trump became the first US president to be convicted of a crime after he was found guilty of covering up hush money payments to Stormy Daniels in the lead-up to the 2016 presidential election. Well, we are going to speak to her. She is the woman who had that pivotal role in the trial. Well, a very good morning to you. This is a remarkable situation for you to have been in. We have interviewed you before, but not since your testimony helped convict President Trump. How are you feeling right now, still at the centre of this storm?
I don't know if I've quite processed it yet, you know. I made the mistake of thinking that it would be like a movie, that it would be the conviction or the verdict, should I say. The verdict would be the end, the finale, and it would just end and the credits would roll and life would go back. But it hasn't been that way. We still have the sentencing, we have the fallout from that. And I don't think that my life will ever be normal.
You said that you had to wear a bulletproof vest on your trips to court. Why was that?
I did.
And what do you experience?
So it's not so much Trump, but we have a man who has been accused of inciting the January 6th Capitol riots and encouraging his followers to react violently. And I got some serious death threats daily, threats against my family, my daughter, graphic, horrifying things that they said they were going to do to my family in front of me. And there was one email in particular that just felt odd. And I showed it to some law enforcement friends that live here in Florida. And they said, you know what? It's better safe than sorry. You're not going to, you know, regret wearing this if someone shoots at you. And you got to keep in mind that in the days leading up to my testimony, someone set themselves on fire. There was an open, somebody shooting, I believe there was. So at this point, anything is possible. And I know that the most dangerous I was from the door of the car to the stand in the courtroom. And I was pretty sure that somebody would do anything to stop me from getting on the stand, including shooting at me.
That's quite something to be afraid of. And that is a genuine fear. You know, did you pass that? You said that you showed that threat to law enforcement friends. Did you report it? I mean, are there investigations going on into these threats against you?
So what I have learned, unfortunately, I've had a few stalkers in the past. They don't seem to take it as serious when you are, you know, someone in the adult industry. The other problem is that when you fill out a police report, it can be found online and they can get your home address and your information. So it's almost more dangerous to do that. I also know that if you show fear or report things and it gets out, it's almost encouraging their bad behavior. It's like blood in the water for the sharks. So I sent it to some friends. They are law enforcement, but they just looked it over privately and said, you know what, you're right. Trust your gut. This one's a little bit odd. It was almost like a riddle. I don't want to repeat exactly what it said, but it wasn't the crazy, you know, stuff that you usually see online. And it was different. And it just struck me really wrong and I couldn't shake the feeling. And so they're like, yeah, you should do this. Especially, like I said, people set themselves on fire and they were desperate to stop me from getting on the stand. And, you know, look what happened.
Can I ask you about President Trump in particular? We know that he has lots of wild supporters and they've made threats against you. We know that he tried very hard to prevent you speaking publicly and then to fight this trial. But now he's been convicted and you say you're fearful. Do you think he's the kind of man who likes to seek revenge, and what could that mean for you?
We have to keep in mind, all of his other cases, you know, that he's ever gone against in his entire life were civil, and this one's different. And he's backed into the corner. He didn't get away with it this time, and he could face real consequences that take away his freedoms. You know, in the past, when he's lost a case or whatever, he's actually lost a case to me. I won my NDA case that was thrown out. I won attorney's fees from him. I prevailed in that case. But in the cases before, it was always that he could buy his way out. He's got the money to do that. He's fined, and money doesn't mean anything. He was fined so many times just in this case when he violated the gag order. So fining him doesn't mean anything. But this is the first time that the consequences could mean that he loses some of his freedoms, that he loses control. And I think that he's scared and he's going to react. And with all this other stuff, I'm the target. This was not the Stormy Daniels case. It was not the hush money case, but everybody called it that. I also am not the one that brought the charges. So many people messaged me and said, you know, drop the charges against him. I'm like, I didn't charge him. I'm a witness. I was subpoenaed. I didn't want to be there either. It was, you know, I was ready for this to be over. But I think that, like I said, this is the first time that his freedom is being taken away and he can't buy his way out of it. And I am the only thing that he can attack. You know, some of his other cases, boxes of documents are inanimate objects. I'm a real thing. I'm like something that he can direct their anger at. And I think that he's going to lash out and act like a toddler.
When you say lash out, in what way? I mean, if President Trump gets back into the White House, becomes the most powerful man in the world, do you feel like he'll just forget about you?
No, because he's going to try to make an example out of somebody, I believe. And he's made it very clear that he's going to be changing things when he's in office and pardoning people. And, yeah, I think that he would try to make a display out of it. You know what I mean? And like I've said, I didn't do this. I didn't bring the charges. I'm not responsible. I didn't press charges. But I am the spark that lit the keg that blew up and revealed all of his other information.
But what form do you think that might take?
Well, we all know that he has lashed out multiple times in the past. He doesn't hesitate to verbally attack and lie. I mean, his lies are ridiculous. A few weeks ago, he posted these letters online that said, "Just found, the judge won't like these." And they were letters that were written, you know, and in 2016 from Michael Cohen's direction and to Keith Davidson, those two letters that, you know, I was honoring the NDA and had to sign them before I was released from it. And I was pressured into signing the second one. I was in a hotel room and afraid. Immediately once I got out of that room, I recanted. I just did what I had to do to get out of that room. But he posted these online, you know, trying to deflect, and said, "Look what was just found, letters saying that Stormy Daniels admitted there was no affair, just found. Will they be admitted into evidence?" What was really funny about that is that I already knew they were in evidence because I was asked about them weeks before.
So you're worried that the president, that if he gets back, he will just continue verbal attacks on you. Now, there is... Yeah?
I was going to say, actually, at the very least, you know, he's still trying to come after me for the judgment, which I don't understand. He is convicted. It's been proven that I didn't lie. Everything I have said has been the truth. It's been backed up by facts. I've never changed my story. I've remembered more details, but I haven't changed my story. You can go back and listen to interviews I've done in the past, and they're exactly the same. So how is it fair? How is it fair that I have to pay these fines? And I didn't lose a case. I didn't lose a defamation case. I never got a chance in court. E. Jean Carroll got her day in court and she won. And she's gotten, over $80 million? My case was thrown out. I wasn't even allowed to tell my story. And so those fees that are close to $600,000, give or take, because I have won attorney's fees against him as well, they were automatic. Trump didn't beat me.
Yeah. Stormy, can I ask you just one final question? You know, you have a daughter, a ranch, your partner. One event all those years ago has put you into the public spotlight.
Yeah.
How do you feel about your life being defined by that event 20 years ago and your battle with Donald Trump? Is that how you want to be thought of, to be seen? Or is there another part of you which actually you feel is the real you, which we don't see?
I mean, this is the real me. I have been, to a fault, myself the entire time. I am what I am, you know? If I could go back in time, I wish that I hadn't gone to that room. Some days when they're really hard, you know, when my family's being attacked, when he's trying to collect that money by going after, you know, Barrett's house. It's not even my house. I've never owned it. The bank owns it. He has a mortgage. It's nothing to do with me. When my daughter's father gets fired from his job because the documentary on Peacock, Stormy, came out. When I respond to a friend on social media and all of his trolls attack them and endanger them, things like that, it makes me sometimes wish I hadn't done it. But I don't regret coming forward and speaking the truth, because I'm responsible for every person that came after me. And I'm glad that now I've put a stop to that. And I want my daughter to know that she should always have control and agency of her voice and her body, and she shouldn't do what I did and freeze up. I want her to be able to be proud of me.
He was married, of course, at the time when you had that encounter with him, and he has talked about how horrible this has been for his wife, Melania. What do you feel about Melania and the situation that she's in?
Well, first of all, I'm not going to speak for Melania. It is not my place to speak for another woman. And we have to keep in mind, we don't know what their arrangement is. Perhaps it was okay. Perhaps it wasn't. Until Melania tells me how she feels. I know she was angry. She called me the porn hooker or something like that. But we don't know what their personal dynamic in their relationship is. But I will say that she's probably very upset with the scrutiny and the negative coverage because she's a mom. And I'm sure she's concerned about her son and his well-being and how it's affecting him. And I honestly, you know, like I said, I'm not going to speak for her, but as a mother, I would imagine that did play some parts in her choosing to remain out of the spotlight during the trial. And I commend her for that.
Stormy, thank you for joining us this morning. It's fascinating talking to you. You know, your name's so appropriate, isn't it? Because literally in the eye of a continuing storm, and it must be a very strange situation for you that this hugely powerful man is now convicted, exactly. Partly as a result of your witness testimony. Stormy Daniels, thank you.
Talking to us live very, very early in the morning in Florida, so we really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.